Alright, just picked up another project. I'm hoping we got a good deal on this thing. This is a 2002 Polaris Scrambler 400 4x4. Got this thing for $900. It was up for $12, offered the guy $9. He said come grab it, and I went to go pick this thing up. This thing is all original. Tires are original tires. Plastics are all original. Seat cover, everything's original. Plastics are in great shape on it. So I guess right now, as this machine sits, it does not run or drive. The owner said it was last driven 5 years ago. It was stored in a barn since then, and his dad used to use it for farming and for hunting. So you can see some dirt on there still, probably from the farm field. The owner tried to take it out and fix it up. He put new brakes on it, but he said he could not get this thing to run. He said he gave up and posted it up for sale. Typically, in my area, these things go for right around $2,000. So it has potential to be a pretty good deal if we can get it up and running today. But yeah, the goal is to get it running and driving by the end of the video. So as this thing sits right now, it is a complete mystery as to why it doesn't run. What gives me hope is that it was running and driving 5 years ago, so the seller says. But we'll see today how bad it is when we start digging into it. Right now, the CV axles seem tight. I kind of looked over this machine before I bought it, just to make sure all the main components were good. Back end was nice and tight. Suspension felt pretty decent. He did put a new caliper on here. All original. The clutch isn't coming through the cover here, so I'm guessing the clutch is fine. Usually if they start to go bad, or the crank bearings are bad, it'll wear through this cover here. No holes in the cover. And he said the oil pump was working last time this was driven. So I have hope for that to work again as well. Headlights are still on there. Original headlights. Throttle isn't stuck or anything like that. All the controls are up there. The only thing I see wrong with it is the seat cover. So you can see tape on there, but that's not a big deal. Rear brake is squishy, so I'm guessing that needs to be bled. Front brake is a little squishy, but still works. U-joints feel pretty good, considering this thing is over 20 years old. Tail lights on there yet, so overall, it's in pretty good condition. Alright, all cleaned up pretty good. Looks pretty nice now. Plastic's really shined up. Color came back. Alright, let's get working on it. See what's going on with this thing. Alright, we got this thing in the garage. Let's kind of go through the whole thing before we dig into it. So right now, all we know is that when you turn the key on, the neutral light does come on. Rear light looks like it's working. Let's see if the headlights are working here. All those are even working. Sweet. And he said he fixed the electric start as well, so that should work. Let's see. It does turn over pretty good. Let's see if she fires up. Alright, it does not fire. So this is kind of where the seller left off. He said that he got to turn it on, replace the battery, replace the brakes, fix the electric starter, and got to turn over, but now it won't fire up. He doesn't know if it's spark, doesn't know if it's compression, doesn't know if it's carburetor related. So today we're gonna try to figure it out and fix this thing up. Oh yeah, there's a bunch of oil in there. That's filled up all the way. Yep. See if that's topped off. Oh yeah, perfect. We're off to a pretty good start here. Get the cap back on. All right, looks like the air filter cover is cracked open. Hopefully no water got in there. Alright, typical Polaris. This cage in here is broken. I've had other ones just like this with the same problem. So we can actually plastic weld that down. See how that cage is broken? That will never sit flat then, that air filter, if we don't fix that. And it looks like somebody tried to fix it right there. You can see the plastic coming through. So we can plastic weld that a little bit later, but everything looks cleared out in there. Filter looks okay. Not too bad, we'll blow that out with the air compressor. But all the components are here at least. Just a simple fix to get that to seal back on. All right, I think to make things easier to be able to get to the carb and the spark plug, we can take this plastic off. So it looks like to get this plastic off, a couple bolts here, a couple around here on the other side, and then there's a couple up here, so not too bad. All right, let's see if we can get this off. All right, plastics are off. We have access to the gas tank. Here is the pattern for the gas tank. Right now it looks like it's on, and then reserve is up and off. Take this up. leave the whole petcock right on. There we go. Starting to come now. There we go. So now you can poke that through. The whole petcock comes out of there. Come off now. And then all you have is the gas line going to the carb. All right, to get to that gas line, we have to take the airbox off. Line going into it right here. So now we've got pretty much access to everything once we get the gas tank off. So this line can come off and then the gas tank will pull away from that. Come out, hopefully. That's held on by a grip here. Alright, finally. Pull that through. Looks like gas was coming out of the gas. That's good. Finally, access to the spark plug. So all that to get to the plug. Crazy. Over here. Looks like a newer plug. NGK BR9ES. Ooh. Plug looks a little rough. This might have low compression. Look at that plug. Not looking good. Huh. It's pretty wet too. There's a lot of buildup on the end of that spark plug. Kind of looks like rust to me. A little Marvel mystery oil down that cylinder. Let that sit for a little bit. See if we have spark too. Alright. I really hope we have spark here. Alright, here we go, moment of truth. Let's see what we get here. Oh yeah, we've got spark. Great spark. Look at that. Cool. I was not expecting to have spark. I thought that was the reason they parked it, because we have spark. Now the question is, do we have compression? If we have compression, most likely we can get this machine to fire up today. This particular machine, we're looking for over 120 PSI. That's kind of the sweet spot. It'll run at probably 90 PSI, but if we want it to have power, you probably want it over 120. So let's see what we get. All right, throttle open, here we go. Not quite 120. We're at like 110 PSI. So those rings could be a little bit stuck. We're gonna try squirting some oil down there. That's pretty low. But we'll try squirting some oil. Put quite a bit of oil down there. We'll try this again. That could be why they parked it. Guessing those rings are just a little bit stuck. All right, here we go. Throttle open again. definitely stuck. That jumped up to like 170. So I'm guessing from sitting, those rings are really stuck. So what we're gonna do is let this thing sit with some Marvel Mystery Oil down it for a little bit. See if we can free up those rings. But it's 100% the rings. So the rings are either really worn or really stuck. So a little bit more Marvel Mystery Oil down there. Let that marinate for a little bit. So while we're letting the oil penetrate those rings, we're gonna start working on the carb. So carb's right here, pretty simple carb. Nothing much to it. The slide is working. You can see in there, working great. So let's get that carb out, take a peek at that. This thing's been sitting 5 years, so I'm guessing the carb's pretty dirty. You can see the carb's pretty gummed up. Might be a good candidate for the ultrasonic cleaner here. Slide looks good. Needle looks nice and tight on there. That still looks pretty good. All right, let's take a peek inside there. See what that looks like. All right, well, there's definitely gas in it. So it was getting gas. Plug 2. And there could be water in the gas. We'll have to clean out the whole tank too. Yeah, this carb needs a good cleaning. Alright, it looks like the original Mikuni carb though, so that's good. Oh boy, doesn't look too bad. Floats look good. Those are moving up and down. Needles moving up and down. Looks like this was definitely cleaned out. Let's see what the main jet's at. Looks like we're running a 240 for the main. Get that out of there. And that was clear. What jet's way down there? Came out. Let's see if that was clogged. Tiny pilot. Alright, so that was clogged. It's only a 25 pilot. Really heavily clogged. So that could be the other reason it wasn't starting. Try to get this pin out. So right now it looks like that pin's pretty stuck in there. See if we can pop it out. Otherwise we'll use our punch to get that out. Yeah, that's stuck on there. Pretty tight. Let's see if the punch works again. There we go. That is literally magic. That works every time. All right. Needle. Tip is still rubbery. That looks pretty good. Seat looks perfect in there. All right. Float looks good. So far so good. Let's see what the air screws at. Air screws right here on the side. We are exactly one turnout on the air screw. So it wasn't out very far. There's a spring in there. There it is. All right, so that's the whole carb. Not much to it. We're gonna let this thing soak in the ultrasonic cleaner. Try to get rid of all this gunk on the outside. Inside looked pretty good, but we want to clean out that outside too, so nothing gets in the passageways here. And then the float looks good too. So everything looks good in the carb. Let's quick see if this passageway is clear. Yep, that's clear in there. Everything was looking pretty good. So the only thing that was wrong with the carb was the pilot jet was clogged. All right, for the ultrasonic cleaner, using some Simple Green degreaser. Pour that in there. You don't need a whole lot. Usually pour like maybe a cup or so of that cleaner in here, depending on how severe the carb is. And we'll put this to the highest temperature. It goes up to 80 degrees Celsius. Then we'll set this for 30 minutes. All right, let's get the carb in there. Go right in, just like that. See, that fits all the way in there. Get the hoses right in there. All right, we'll come back when it's done. All right, carburetor's out of the ultrasonic cleaner. You can see how clean that got that. A little discoloration here, but all the dirt's off of it completely. So it looks a lot better. Inside's immaculate. And then with the bowl, same thing. A little discoloration on the outside, but everything looks really clean on the inside. That looks good. Pilot jet's good now. And all the jets are cleaned up. So we can get this thing reassembled back onto the quad. All right, carburetor's back on, slides back on, and the choke is back on. So that's all set to go. Before we attempt to start this thing up, I want to get this clutch cover off, see if there's a mouse living in there or a mouse nest. If we start this thing up and there's a nest in there, it can wreck the belt and the clutch. So one more down here. Alright. Alright, we don't have to take off the whole cover. Just want to see if there's a mouse living in here. Oh, it looks clear. Belt doesn't look horrible. It's not cracked or anything. Clutches look pretty decent. Alright, so no mouse nest in there. Belt looks okay. So we can put the cover back on. We are going to see if gas comes directly to the gas line here going into the carb. Let's see if it has enough compression to start here.
Choke it.
All right, looks like it started up there for a second and then died and now won't restart. I'm wondering if compression went back down now that the oil's out of the cylinder. So every time the compression goes up, it'll fire up and then just go right back to not starting because of the low compression. All right, let's test compression again. I'm thinking that's back down to being like 100 PSI. Yeah, plug is really wet. Maybe we followed the plug too with all the oil in there. Check it again. We're hoping for 120 or above, so right in that area. All right, throttle open. See what we get here. Same thing. Like 110. So I wonder if those rings are just worn. Shoot. Should still fire up with 110. I don't know. See what happens. All right, so we put a new plug in and it fired up instantly and then died again. Almost like it's flooding out, and then the plug gets too wet and then won't fire. So we're gonna try turning the gas off, see if that makes a difference. I wonder if it's flooding out the engine. All right, if you let it idle, it'll idle for a bit, but it'll die, and then you'll have to clean up the plug and keep doing that continuously. So let's see, we'll clean up the plug again, see if it fires up. So as soon as you clean up that plug, it fires up for a little bit and then dies. And the plug is super wet afterwards. Almost looks like there's water on it. So I wonder if this thing sat outside with the plug out of it and water is filled up in the crankcase area. Then as it runs, that water gets sprayed up into the cylinder and it prevents that spark plug from sparking. That's almost what it looks like. All right, it seems to be getting better every time I clean up that plug, put it back in. I think we're burning off that old fuel, water mixture, whatever's in the crankcase there. So let's continue to do it. See that? It just quits then. And then you have to clean out the plug and continue to do it. Right now it's running a little bit longer than it used to. So. Running now, pretty good. Kind of smells like coolant being burnt off. That would be spraying up a lot more if the head gasket was blowing. Does smell like coolant though. Alright, we're gonna let this thing run for a bit. See if we can burn off everything inside that crankcase. Alright, took the plug out after running for a bit. You can see it's nice and brown now. That's how it's supposed to look, not wet at all. So, I think we fixed it. I think there was like a mixture of water and oil, or like penetrating oil down the cylinder. I'm thinking maybe the piston was stuck at one point and somebody let it soak with something in it. But yeah, now it cleared out and it looks like it's running pretty good. So we're gonna put this back in, see if it fires right back up. If it doesn't, we have another issue. All right, we let this machine run for probably 10 minutes. Let's see if she fires right back up now. All right, that's starting like it should. So I think we can put everything back together and hopefully take this thing for a ride. All right, we're gonna try that plastic weld, or repair I should say, the Airbox here. So we've got our plastic welder. We're gonna put a couple of these staples in here. So these melt into the plastic. So that gets red hot. And then we can put that right into the plastic. See, it's turning red. And we can just go kind of hard to get in there. It's already pretty strong right there. All right, we got the Airbox back on, seat back on. Everything is good to go. The front brakes are working great. Those work awesome. The rear brakes, however, are not working. So he put a new caliper on. So we're gonna try to bleed that. It looks like he already tried, but probably couldn't. So first we'll check our fluid level. See if there's anything in there. Yeah, there's some in there. Actually, we can just leave that off for now. We can pump the brake. Alright, let's gotta get all that air out. Pump it some more. Alright, we'll continue to pump. Again, trying to get all the air out of the system here. All right, 30 minutes later of pumping, and we're not getting anywhere. So I'm thinking the master cylinder here is leaking a little bit. You can hear the air coming back through when you pump it, and it's not getting hard. See that? Yeah, it just does not sound right. It's not holding any pressure. So unfortunately, it looks like we have to order up a new master cylinder. These are pretty small and they tend to fill relatively easily, being Polaris. So usually the rear brakes never work on these, and that's probably why. And I'm guessing the seller tried bleeding this a couple different times, because he bled the parking brake right here that goes up to the front lever, and I think he probably tried to do this one and couldn't get it to bleed. This is rear chain driven. Make sure that chain's nice and tight. That feels good. That looks good. Looks like everything was greased up. It is shaft driven to the front. Everything looks good there. Tires are holding air. I let this sit overnight. All the tires hold good air, so that's good. So let's see if this thing fires up again without the choke. We let this sit for probably an hour since it last ran. Let's see if it starts right back up again. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens. Oh. Running pretty good. Oh, what's underneath here? Oh, looks like there's a toolkit. Oh, that's pretty cool. It's nice to have. All right, without further ado, let's see if it moves. All right, this thing's running pretty good. Reverse works, high works, and 4x4 works great. So fires right up. It's into high. You can see that light up there. So that's working great. It's no longer smoking a ton. It was smoking a ton before. So I think we cleared it all out. Let's see. All right, got this thing back home. It was running and driving great at the land. Suspension felt good. Started right up all the time. Was running consistently, had great power. And now I got back home after probably a 10-minute ride from my land, and it's puffing out white smoke again. And now it won't even start. Check this out. It's like it flooded out again. So I think it's doing the same thing as before. So white smoke is water burning off, which would mean that coolant is probably getting into the cylinder. So that is not good. So it's either we have a blown head gasket or a cracked cylinder causing coolant to go in there. That is very strange. We're gonna try to go through here and get to that plug. And I can kind of smell coolant burning. It's like a burnt smell, a sweet burnt smell. And I could smell that before too. Yeah, look at this plug. Look at how wet that plug is. I don't like that. It's all wet. I wonder what's going on with that. Put this back in. All right, let's see if she'll fire up for a second. See if then it dies. What the heck? So it's doing the same exact thing as before. All right, we got our plug back out after firing it up for a brief second, and you can see how wet that is. So I think coolant's getting on there now. I think that was the problem all along. So I think there's either a blown head gasket, which it didn't appear to be blown based on the coolant in the radiator. It wasn't blowing up too much. Or a cracked cylinder. Yeah, compression went down. We're only at 100 psi now. So something's going on. I'm guessing rings are getting worn down because there's coolant leaking in the cylinder. So it looks like this whole thing's coming apart. Well, I thought this thing was officially fixed, but it looks like we have another problem to fix up here. So next video, we're gonna dig into this thing. We'll probably do a leak down test. I've got a leak down tester we can put on here and see where the leak is coming from. I'm guessing it's that head gasket, but it could be a cracked cylinder as well. And we'll kind of go from there and then start tearing this thing down. It's a 2-stroke, so it's pretty easy. So that will be next video. I thought for sure this thing was going to be an easy fix, and it was. I mean, it was running great at the land, and then it started having misfiring issues, starting issues, and blowing a lot of white smoke. So I think the more we run it, the worse it's getting, which tells me that coolant's probably pouring in from somewhere, and it's getting worse as it gets hotter. So unfortunately, this one's not fixed, but we'll get it all fixed up next video. So hopefully you guys enjoyed picking this thing up for $900, diagnosing the no start issue, and taking it for the first ride. So hopefully next video we can get this thing fixed up and back on the trail. So thanks for watching, guys. Thanks for subscribing. Stay tuned for next video, and until next time, we are out.